We'll wait one more minute.
We are recording.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Um, Good morning, everyone. Sugalisa Gwig, Ganya Ulats, Gets. Hi, everyone. My English name is Jen Falck, and I'm going to facilitate a little bit here this morning, and we're going to hear from a few folks before I get started. But welcome to the Tribal Food Producer Information Session. This is our third session, I believe. And I work for the Menominee Tribal Department of Agriculture and Food Systems. And although I work for Menominee, I serve tribal food producers in the Great Lakes region, and we'll get more into that later. But anyway, welcome. We're so glad that you have joined us. As Jamie said, we're going to record the session, and we've started doing that. And if you would all throw your name and your location and maybe what it is you're doing as far as food production goes in the chat, that would be great, so we can all kind of get to know each other. Once we get through some slides, we're going to talk about our programs and what it is that we have to offer food producers. We're going to get into tracking sales and expenses, which is going to be so exciting and so interesting. You're not going to be able to stand it. And then we're going to talk more about resources and things that you all might want or need and things that we can do to help. So I don't see too many comments in the chat from people who have joined. There's some more. All right. Tootsie's Tea. Awesome. What's next? So as I said, I'm Jen Falck, Menominee Tribe Department of Ag and Food Systems. And Rebecca, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bekah. I work for the Center for Regional Food Systems at Michigan State University, and I work for the Regional Food Business Center here in the Midwest Great Lakes region. And I will be working with Jen on this webinar today.
Thank you. Okay, and I work for Menominee. I'm also a small scale farmer. I run a very small family scale farm where we do a lot of demonstration and teaching, but I have some experience with beef cattle, hogs, layers, meat birds, produce, vegetables, fruits, a little bit of everything. And then Jamie is with us.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie Rahrig. I'm also at the Michigan State University Center for Regional Food Systems and also part of the Product Center team at Michigan State. I'll turn it to John.
And I'm John McCarthy from the MSU Center for Regional Food Systems, the Grant Support Specialist working on the Business Builder Award, which we'll talk about in a bit.
All right. So we work together with Jen and the team with Menominee and the Great Lakes Intertribal Food Council to put together these sessions. We've been offering them quarterly. Our next one is September 10th, I think. And we have been putting them together to share resources, learn together. We are learning from you as much as you are learning from us, I firmly believe. And then just to offer a space to connect. This is set up as a meeting, so you can unmute and talk to us, and you can put questions and responses in the chat. And again, help us learn from each other. I'm ready for the next slide, please. And our teams come together on a program called the Great Lakes Midwest Regional Food Business Center, which is a funded program by the United States Department of Agriculture, established to drive economic opportunities across the region, creating a more resilient food system. And we're doing this work across 4 states. As you can see on the screen, we've got Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And if you're not located in one of these states, there is a regional food business center that covers every single state, including a national tribal business center too, that you would have access to resources at. I'm ready for the next one. And on the next slide, you can see our partners here. You can see where Jen works with the Menominee. There's also Northwest Indiana Food Council, the Food Finance Institute, the Chicago Food Policy Action Council, and then our team at the Center for Regional Food Systems. So we're all working together to coordinate the program, provide assistance, and offer grant funding. Next slide. So our goal is to provide assistance to food and farm businesses that are considered small and mid-sized. And those could be businesses that are identify as producers, processors, distributors, and other types of businesses in the food supply chain, and help to coordinate the value chain and supply chain along with those producers. We also are tasked to develop capacity, which means there's funding coming available and currently is on pause. We're waiting to hear more from our funder, but the grant or the award opportunities will be coming out, and I'll let John share more about that.
And those are the Business Builder Awards. So you can go to the next slide. So the Business Builder Awards, they are awards, sub-awards that we will be releasing an application for as soon as we are able to. We're still waiting on that pause. And they are grants that are up to $100,000. I'm sorry, sub-awards that are up to $100,000 that are going to be available. But well, they are also, through that same Regional Food Business Center program that we're working on. And we will be hopefully getting those out sometime soon. Like I said, we're still waiting on funding, but we'll be releasing an application and other information as soon as we can. And we'll go to the next slide.
All right, so we've got a poll question for you. Since today's topic, and Jen is going to lead us through a Google sheet that will help you track expenses and sales for your farm and business, we have a poll to ask you how you track and manage your expenses. Excuse me. So Jen jokingly calls, do you want to share your box of torment? Do you have receipts in a box at home or in a box of torment like Jen does there? Or do you use spreadsheets? Or maybe you have accounting software or something else that we haven't even thought of. And if you have something else, some other way that you're doing it, or maybe you call your receipts in a box a different name, put that in the chat and let us know. Okay, great. It looks like I'm gonna maybe wait a couple seconds for any last minute responses. The red file folder of doom, Bekah says. That is
Good.
Dark, Bekah. All right. So we've got quite a mix there, Jen. We've got some people who do keep receipts in the box, some people who use spreadsheets, and some people who use software. If anybody has ideas for software for tracking they want to put in the chat, we're always open to learning. Okay.
All right, so what we're gonna do is jump in here, and I am gonna do my best. And Jamie said that we were all gonna learn together. And I am learning, I am just in time learning. So I've been trying to figure this all out so I could teach it to you all. And I think it's a really neat tool, but it took me a little while to get a handle on it. So I'm going to try and teach it to you, and we're going to provide you with the tool at the end of the webinar. And then you guys can have my contact information. And if you have questions, you can reach out, and I can hopefully help you. And if not, I can get the help that we need. Anyway, so tracking expenses and sales. We are going to practice with 3 receipts. 3 receipts from my box of torment. So the reason that we're doing it this way is because in my farm and my business and in my busy life, receipts get thrown into wallets and cup holders and dashboards, and then they eventually end up on the kitchen table, and then they eventually end up in a spreadsheet. But you know, the time from when I made a purchase to when it gets entered into a spreadsheet, a lot happens. And so I'm trying to use real life examples of what our businesses and our receipts look like. So we're going to look at this receipt. And this receipt, I'm showing it to you 3 different ways. So on the left, this is the whole receipt, and it's from a store called, I can't remember where this is from. This is from gardensupplyguys.com, I think. See, I can't even read it. So that's the reality of life. Garden Supply Guys, it's for $143.32. Okay, so that's the total. These are all of the items that I bought. I bought some organic plant food, some fish and seaweed emulsion, and some Roots Organics Lush Living Soil Mix. And I spent, those are the 3 things I bought. And I spent $143.32. I'm going to put that in the chat just so we don't lose track of it. That was my total. All right, now I'm going to show you a different screen. Okay, is everyone looking at a spreadsheet? Okay, that's the miracle. I did it. That was going to be the most challenging part. All right, now we're all looking at this spreadsheet. And I'm going to first show you these pink lines. So these are examples. So the first thing on this spreadsheet says January 1st, 2025. Somebody bought something at Fleet Farm. There was a dollar amount. There was feed. It was broiler feed. Okay, and then I'm going to show you, I'm going to keep going. And then there was car and truck expenses that cost $149. Don't get panicked. Don't panic if you're not understanding yet. Just roll with it. All right. So back to our receipt and the garden supply guys. I spent, let's just use today's date because it doesn't really matter too much. I spent garden supply guys, and I spent $143.32. Okay, everyone's with me so far? Holler if you're not. All right, now this pink column, only pay attention to the pink for now. Don't pay any attention to the yellow. This pink column is your Schedule F form. And if you don't know what that is, a Schedule F form is the tax form that you will fill out at the end of the year with all of your farm-related deductibles. So filling this form out will most likely increase your tax returns. So this is an important form to become familiar with. This spreadsheet has a column just dedicated to Schedule F. There's 10 or 12 categories on a Schedule F form. These are those categories, okay? Car and truck, chemicals, conservation, custom hire, capital expenses. These are all of the Schedule F categories. So I'm going to pick one for my fertilizer that I bought. And I'm going to choose fertilizers and lime, okay? Now, if we go over, I'm going to move. If we go over to this Schedule F categories and we look at fertilizers and lime, you see it says $286.64. So that means I already bought some fertilizer and lime sometime during the year. Let's go find it. Here's some fertilizer and lime. Oh, sorry. Yes. So what it's doing is it's adding all of the fertilizer and lime and putting the total here. Everyone following? Right. So that's the total that's been purchased. The other thing that happens in this table is the percent of expenses shows up. So far for the year, 4% of my costs have been on fertilizer and lime. 1% has been on gas and fuel and oil. 2% has been on repairs and maintenance. Everyone following? We're watching the chat. Okay. All right, so that's pink. That's the Schedule F. And as long as you keep doing that, you really don't have to pay too much attention to it until you either do your taxes or you take your stuff to your accountant, and then you just have to take these numbers and you or your accountant are ready to fill in your Schedule F. The yellow category is your chart of accounts. And this is specific to you and your operation, and you can customize it. And we're going to show you how to do that. But this is stuff that's more specific to my operation and my costs. So let's go back to the first receipt. The fertilizer and lime, we put it, or I'm sorry, the garden supply guys, we put it in this fertilizer and lime for Schedule F. But, oops, I don't want you to, but for my chart of accounts category, I got all kinds of categories in here, and these are just for me. So I'm going to put this in fertilizer up here, produce fertilizer. Okay, so now what happened is this $143. Now, here it is. Yep. 2% of what I've spent this year has been on this fertilizer, okay? So the reason that this particular table is cool is because if you look up here at the top, here's broilers, right? So I raise meat chickens, and I can enter all my receipts that have to do with meat chickens, and then I can figure out what percentage is on feed, what percentage was on supplies, the cost of the chicks, the processing, any capital, like maybe I bought a mobile chicken tractor or I had vet services. Okay, so it breaks down my total cost of raising those broilers or my layers or my turkeys, my hogs, beef, any wholesale, maybe I had to truck food. There's a whole bunch of produce and a whole bunch of whole farm. Again, you can customize this. So I had to figure out how to put geese in here because I have geese and it wasn't in here. There's lots of things that we can add and change and take out. And just hang on, we're going to show you how to do that. So let's do another receipt. All right, I'm going to show you a second receipt. Here's the second receipt. So this is from Sunnyside Hatchery. I bought a Cornish cross straight run. Those are meat birds. I bought some Sunnyside Rangers, some bronze turkeys, and a duck and turkey combo. And I spent a total of $279. I'm gonna put that in the chat now too, so I don't lose it. All right, now let's go back to the worksheet. All right. We'll use today's date. And it was Sunnyside Hatchery. And it was $279. Okay, this is where I want some participation. Where do y'all want to put this in your Schedule F? Who's got an idea?
Feel free to unmute yourself. There's no wrong answers ever, right, Jen?
Nope, never a wrong answer. Just guess if you have to. The silence is deafening. Somebody guess.
Do people want Jen to share the receipt picture again? Oh, okay, we got a guess in the chat. Animals and livestock we got.
All right, that's what I would have done too. So we'll choose animals and livestock. Okay, now that's the Schedule F column. Now we're going to go to the charts and accounts column. Now, somebody have another guess? Where would I put? These are all meat birds. Who's got a guess?
Yeah, cost of chicks. Does that
Yep.
make sense?
Yep, that's exactly right. Cost of chicks. All right, so now if we go look at what we did, we bought the Schedule F column says 840. So we've added the 279 we've added, and now we have 840. So somewhere along the line, I spent $600 on other animals and livestock up until today. Okay, so it's adding the total. So far this year, we've spent $840 on animals. All right, now this is where it gets a little more useful for our everyday purposes. Here is the new total of what we have spent on cost of chicks. So this year we've spent $633 on meat chicks. So you'll have meat chicks. You know, in my case, I would have meat chicks, layer chicks, turkey chicks, and sometimes geese chicks. And I would keep those all separate from one another. All right, should we do one more? We have time?
Sure. We have
All right.
time.
All right, let's do one more.
If everybody else is like me, they're still waiting for you to come up with elephant or tiger chicks. So if
Oh yeah,
we're
that's next.
reading your notes. Is that coming?
That's still coming. All right. Last receipt. All right, this is from the Pulaski warehouse where I spent a lot of money because it's the closest place to my house. So this one's a little more complicated because if you look on the middle image, you see that I bought Hen House Reserve. So that was $13.99. So that's for my layers. So that's one entry. I got to put $13.99 layers. And then I bought some beef and oats cow nature animals, which is dog food. So that doesn't count, right? That's just for my dog. So that doesn't get put in the table. Then I bought more dog stuff. And then I bought 4 bags of organic layer feed. They were each $16.99. So I spent $67.96 on layer feed. And then I bought, what's this cut off? So I can't even go through this. But then I bought some diatomaceous earth, which I would have bought for my layers for dust bathing. So that would have been a supply line for my layers. And I spent a total of $133.39. So let's just do the layer feed. So I bought 4 bags, $16.99 each. They cost $67.96. All right. We'll use today's date again. $67.96. And feed. That's all I get for Schedule F. It's just feed. And then I can go to layers feed. And now you'll see my feed amount has gone up. That's how much I've spent this year total.
Jen, I think you might need to reshare your screen. I don't see it now,
Oh, I'm sorry.
unless it's just me. Thank you.
Okay, sorry guys. So
Thank
I added the $67.96 for feed, and then I qualified that as layer feed. Now, this is my new total of feed that I've spent for the year on all animal feed. And this is my new total for what I've spent on layer feed for the year. So you can start seeing how this can get really useful because I can isolate exactly how much I spent on broilers, how much I spent on layers, and then the percentage breakdown of those totals. All right, so that's how you use it as is. And now Bekah is going to help walk us through how to manipulate it so that it works for you. You can see in this down here we have elephants and tigers.
All right, thanks, Jen, for explaining all of that.
I made it.
Hopefully will be pretty clear about this because this is the part where it gets a little challenging. The first easiest thing to do if you want to change your categories. So we're looking at the chart of accounts where it says your broilers and then feed, supplies, cost of chicks, processing, capital purchases, and veterinary. So those are all of the different categories that we have put our expenses in so far, and they total up in that second column. And that's how we can calculate all of our expenses, and it will have a huge impact on pricing, or we can see how much profit we made theoretically at the end of the season. So for chart of accounts, we're looking at the different categories, and the easiest way to change this is to simply change the text. So if, for instance, you are a poultry farmer and you do not have any hogs, you could simply change your hog categories to a different type of poultry, like quail. So this is the easiest way to do that. And Jen's going to write that in right now. And then, Jen, can you show them now how, once you hit enter, now that's going to change their categories if we go back to the expenses list?
Yep, so everyone sees I'm changing the hog to quail. And now we're going to go back. And we'll just grab this. Oop, wrong. See, that's my Schedule F. That's the wrong one. So it said hog, and now it says quail.
Yep, perfect. And so now if you select that, any amount that you put in your expenses is going to automatically feed over to that expenses category on that right side.
So we'll put $250. And there it is, $250.
Great. And so, like I said, this is the easiest way to do it. If there are other accounts in your chart of accounts that you can change that you don't need, this is the easiest way. If you, however, are a very diversified farmer and you need every one of these categories, you can add rows here, and that will help you add to your chart of accounts. So Jen, if you go over to the numbers on the left side of the screen and right click, you will see insert row. You could do either below, above or below, whatever you'd like. And then if we go back to our chart of accounts on the right side, we can add as many lines as we need to for more multiple charts of accounts. And then to make this all work, to make the spreadsheet all work, we are going to copy and paste any of the other chart of accounts tabs in those second and third categories.
So there's
oh, go ahead.
there's a formula in each of these cells, and so we have to carry that formula down. So we're gonna just go into the cell, copy. Now watch what happens to the cell. Now the formula has carried down to here. And
Exactly.
then the same for this, the percentage breakdown. There we go.
Yep. So say for instance, you are a flower farmer and you want to know exactly how much you make per type of flower based on your expenses. You could even get as granular as that. So we have tulips and roses. And then once we copy over those formulas, any expenses that we put in for our tulips or roses will automatically carry over into this chart of accounts and the total expenses here. And so you might realize that tulips are really expensive to grow or roses are really expensive to grow once you look at that percentage.
Hmm?
And it can better help you plan for next year. Is there any questions about that? Anything that we went over that we can put in the chat? All right. Jen, if we can go back to the slides real quick.
Yep.
I'm going to show you guys how to make a copy, or rather tell you how to make a copy, and then Jamie is going to show you how to make a copy, actually, and edit the spreadsheet to make it yours. So we're going to put the spreadsheet into the chat, and you'll be able to open the spreadsheet that Jen was working on. And as soon as you get in there, you're going to go to File and then Make a Copy. It's going to come up with this middle box that says Rename It. So make it whatever you name it. You can even label it Box of Doom if you'd like, but you can name it your farm name, expenses, etc., etc. And then you want to make sure that the folder you're saving it to is your own. So where it says folder in that middle box, you'll click where it says My Drive, and that'll open up another window and you can choose that location. So you want to make sure that this is your spreadsheet and your files, and nobody else will have access to this. So you're editing your own. And actually, Jamie, I believe, is going to share her screen to take you through that and also to show you how to remove some of the information that's already in there. So to start with a clean slate.
All right, thanks everybody. Can you see the spreadsheet here now? Not yet? Yes, okay, okay. All right, so this is the same spreadsheet that Jen was showing you. It looks like she had some better fancy colors than what I have here, so let me spice it up a little bit. This is available for you, like Bekah said, to make a copy of or download to your computer. So a couple options here. You can go here, click make a copy, and then put it into whatever folder that you have on Google Drive. So here's all of mine. You could also choose, if you're working on a computer, choose to download a copy to Excel if you have access to Excel. And it would show up the same way, hopefully the same way. And you'll see here, there's down at the bottom, there's 3 different tabs. We added our contact information here in the first one. We also have some instructions. So please do not type right into that version that we're showing here in Google. Please create your own, save a copy or download it. And then you've got a tab for expenses that Jen was showing you. And then you also have another tab for sales. So you can play around with all of that on your own, enter in your own information. And I just kept in a bunch of Jen's examples here. So she said she spent a lot of money with this company, but maybe that's not near you. So go ahead and change the dates, change the place where you made the purchases, and change the amounts and all the information there. And
I
then,
also,
yep,
hey,
go ahead.
maybe just one thing.
Yep.
If you clear any of these categories with, say, where it said there's a drop down, don't worry, you are not going to delete the equation that's in there. It's not going to stop showing up. So if you clear those, so if you hit the backspace button on those, you're still going to be able to use those drop downs. So don't worry about that.
Yep. So I deleted that information, but the options still pop up here. The only thing people shouldn't do though, right, is clear out the equations. So if you remove any of this information, then it won't add up anymore. But like Jen showed you, you can just copy it and paste it back in if you do that by accident.
So I didn't really go over the sales tab very much, but it's much simpler than the expenses page. So I don't think I need to, but there's just, you enter the date and how much you sold or how much money you want to enter, and then a few different categories, which again, you can change to suit your needs. So it can be farmer's market or wholesale or retail grocery or whatever. So I've been using this. I got this in March and I've been using it now for a couple months. So it's taken me a little while, but I'm getting into the habit of, at the end of every month, I go to my box of torment and I pull all of the receipts out and I start entering. So one thing to remember, because again, in real life, we go to Fleet Farm and we buy things from 4 or 5 different categories that fit this. So if you've done that, you need to make 4 or 5 entries, or you're not going to get that nice granular data that you're looking for. Does anyone have any questions?
Has anybody used a tool like this before? Danny says yes. Okay. Great. Danny, any suggestions on how to make it better or something that you're doing that would work better for everybody? Okay.
Did this seem, for me, this was a really challenging thing to figure out how to teach you. So I hope I did all right. There's a lot of back and forth and sharing different things. And So again, I think the contact information is in the instructions, right? So if you have questions, you can reach out to me.
Yep, so on that instructions tab, I'll screen share just one more time to show you there. There's some links on how to get in touch with our teams there. And we can share out the last few slides, but we will go ahead and send out a recording and the link to this spreadsheet again in case you didn't save it or it didn't open for you or you're on your phone so that you have it available to you.
Who thinks they might start using this or something similar? Awesome, Danny. Anybody else? Thanks, Emily. All right. So, if no one has questions or has anything to toss in, any life experience when it comes to the receipts and the hassle they provide. And then when is our next webinar, Jamie?
September 10th. At
September 10th.
The same time, 11:30 Eastern, 12:30. No, backwards. 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay. And will you screen share one more time for us, Jen, the slides, and can work on closing us out. We have been putting together as many resources as possible for you to prepare for grant funding and for financing. So this session today is one of, maybe we've done 4, Jen?
Maybe.
Sessions. The recordings are available on our website and we can drop that link in the chat too. Please join us and look for the registration for the next one in September. Feel free to reach out in between though. You don't have to wait in between. Reach out to our teams. And then the sub-award program that John was talking about, the Business Builder program, keep an eye out for information. If you haven't signed up for our emails, please do that or stay in touch with us so that we can get you that information. And then if you want to freshen up about grant writing or getting ready for financing in any way, there's a lot of resources on our website and more coming each day. So we can go to the next slide. And the next one is just please let us know how we did. We've got a QR code there if you have your phone handy and can take a picture of it and complete our little short questionnaire to see how we did and what other topics you'd like to see us talk about for future sessions. Or if you want to be a presenter on a future session, we would welcome that too. Anything else, Jen, Bekah, John?
No, I don't have anything else. Just thank you everyone who showed up.
Thank you. Please keep in touch. Thanks for being here today. Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Bekah.
Bye-bye.